Let's talk about the manipulation of language and how it leads to bad activities and things that are wrong and a threat to our existence, like movies. What's this? Mission Impossible, right? Why do we still have these insane, excessive, compulsive behaviors being accessible to our families and our children? Having people engage in bad activities that are a threat to our the necessities for our existence, yeah, right? Yeah, so one of the things I was going to talk about, I said this morning they had a thing of this Elian, what's her name? Gosh darn it. The congresswoman from Minnesota. Who had business ties with these people that were taking a lot of money and using charity to, which Rockefeller told me right off the bat when I was in Sierra Vista in my head. I have I'm considered like a psychic, okay, a very powerful psychic. Okay, that's what people consider me, but I wouldn't call myself a psychic because I communicate at a different way and a different level than psychics do. Okay. I've watched psychics and they're full of shit. They connect to the people that are living, okay, to connect to the person that has died, and then feel the thoughts and the emotions and the actions and the words that the people that are living want to hear. So they could say, she is talking to so-and-so. Which to me, I found a lot of times is bullshit. Sometimes I'll talk to somebody and I won't get, he wants you to go on and not worry about him. He's in a better place. Okay. When I spoke to Ian, Regina King's son, no, he got angry about things. He said some things that hurt her feelings. Because we're not doing things right, and he's depressed and he wanted to die. Okay. I didn't sit there and say, I am in a better place. I was miserable, but now I'm okay. I'm in the arms of the Lord. I don't say bullshit like that because it's not true. We talked about the other day, genetic molecular similitude, right? And that diaper commercial that was just on, so-and-so is working hard at growing. No, he's not working hard at growing. You don't work hard at growing, okay? When things are good and things are right and we're honoring natural laws and things are healthy, people go well. When they don't, it's not. Have you ever been to Somalia? Okay. That's where you're working hard at growing if you have what you need to grow, if you don't die from starvation and exposure, okay? That's what happens in Somalia. A lot more than it happens here. It happens more in Chihuahua and Sonora than it does in New Mexico and Arizona, but it happens here too, okay? And in Texas, okay? People die from exposure. People die from malnutrition. People die from a toxic environment, having to live where there's lots of cars, paying extortion, charging extortion, making money off of extortion and exploitation. Okay. The people on the news could not understand the meaning of the word law or crime if they tried. Right? And then the thought I had of it, they had a thing that we got in the mail about this place in town where they had all these things, these collector items and vintage toys and stuff like that. And vintage toys, they had a remake of the Mego toys, and people online got upset about it because it drops the value and the price of the old ones. Well, because the new ones, you can make them just as well or if not better, and they're in better condition than the old ones, right? So it's not the memories and the joy that you had as a kid, okay, playing with these toys that drives the whole vintage toy thing. It's the money, right? Because you could take Mark's Toys and you could make them better than they were when I was a kid with the springs and make them more, where they articulate better in the colors and instead of just one big color, make them in multiple colors to where they have like they do with a lot of the action figures and move and then have all the same accessories that Johnny West had and Sam Cobra. And of course, they probably wouldn't have a General Custer. Custer was a rotter. Okay. And you wouldn't really want to play with a toy of a man who was a mass murderer to try to be president, right? Wayne Marauder was not, but it was Wayne Marauder, who was an actor on TV who played him in a TV show, right? Because for the longest time when I was a kid, he was seen as a good guy, and the people that stopped him from mass murdering were seen as the bad people. Okay. And so I went, from listening to Johnny Horton records, Comanche, you fought hard, Comanche, you tried, to having prayer communications with a man called Little Hawk, whose older brother was the one who led the protection against Custer and his gang of, you have to follow order thugs. And not all the gang of his you have to follow order thugs agreed what Custer was doing, but they were threatened by secular law to be incarcerated and or murdered if they didn't obey his orders. Okay, do you understand? That's insane, but that still happens to this day. Okay, that still happens to this day. If you don't follow the orders of mass murderers to do what taxpayer dollars tell you to do, they can incarcerate you and or murder you. Okay. That's still a threat to this day. Under the Military Code of Justice, that's what they call it. But if you understand the Lord's Prayer, you wouldn't have a military code of justice. You'd be like King David, If somebody brought you back the head of Jonathan's 5-year-old relative saying he was your worst enemy, you'd have those two men publicly executed and say, don't do that, right? That's wrong. These people cannot be trusted. We do not want to have them as neighbors. We do not want them marrying our daughters or sisters, right? That kind of man is sick and insane, and we'd have problems with his reproduction, right? And that's just scientific fact, not fiction, right? When you have people that believe in magic shows after the death in the sky, and magic shows after death in the center of the earth, and then believe money's real and you need it to procreate with a woman who will only accept you if you can pay for her kids' extortion and exploitation, then you're going to have problems with those kids. They're going to be like, what? They're going to be professional wrestling fans from cradle to grave. He's working hard growing. He's got to buy his Pampers. No, his dad's got to buy his Pampers. He's got to buy Pampers once he starts fucking to train his professional wrestling fans, right? Right, okay. So, no, professional wrestling, there's no intrinsic value to it. It's like Patrick with the Jerry Springer show and his mom and the people at Southwest Airlines when he was a kid, Dad. And Teresa and Myra sitting there going, out of the mouths of babes, my two friends, right? They're all getting in trouble being on Idle and Break watching Jerry Springer. And Patrick sits there and goes, Dad, they do this at my mom's work at FedEx too. And I'm like, okay, Pat, yeah. No, but Dad. Yeah, Pat, don't tell Mom. Don't tell Mom that. Don't tell these people you're going to piss everybody off and I have to work with them. So he goes, yeah, but Dad, there's nobody intelligent on Jerry Springer. And it's not funny like cartoons. And Teresa and Myra both go, out of the mouths of babes, out of the mouths of babes. And I'm like, guys, I have to work with these people. That's shit. Yeah, my son was more intelligent than Sheldon, yes. Okay. He had a lot of traits that were Sheldon-esque because of the brain having to try to deal with the intense scrutiny and virtual presence in our house, okay, that you all have now. But me and Patrick grew up with it he grew up in the 1990s, before digital TVs, before Wi-Fi television. Okay. We had the equipment in our place, like Denzel Washington pretending to be Malcolm X. For Spike Lee and his epic movie and need more money from Oprah to rent the train, right? I had that virtual presence, all the things that all these kids go through today. They're like, yeah, they get angry and mad because they have no privacy. It's complete Big Brother George Orwell, especially since Y2K and digital, and having to have all the digital TVs in the house with the digital box to get a signal and so forth. Right. So, it's gotten, quote unquote, easier for the government and taxpayer dollars and the people that enforce taxpayer dollars to have access to everything in your house. And they can put, like Babaker told me in Sierra Vista, and he worked at Fort Huachuca, they can put surveillance equipment on a fly or in your oatmeal box. Son of a bitch. Okay. I don't tear up all my oatmeal boxes. It's not necessary. I have two Xbox 360s that I do use. I've got a Tech right there. I've got a Sanyo right here next to the bed. I've got this. I've got plenty of tech in this house for the government to monitor everything that goes on in this property. Okay. And the signal with T-Mobile is real good out at the barn. It wasn't before with Comcast. Okay. But now when I go shoot hoops at the barn, I got a real good signal out at the barn too. Okay. So the government is Anakin Skywalker, and I'm Princess Amidala. I do feel everything that's going on in that room. It's a killer worm. Get it out of here. It's a centipede. We do get centipedes around here, and we have to make sure we kill them. You want them crawling in your bed and crawling in your ear or anything like that. So yeah, you got to watch those for centipedes. We don't have as much of a problem with scorpions. And our black widow problem is taken care of by our mommy longlegs. They're not daddy longlegs. Daddy longlegs are dead carcasses all up on the roof. That's just encouraging the guys, hey, maybe you'll be a hard work growing. He ain't having a hard work growing. He's fertilized those eggs and he's dead just like half the kids. Okay. Okay. They have to reproduce or they cease to exist. Genetic, molecular similitudes. Okay, do you understand? Okay. They have to reproduce or they cease to exist. Genetic, molecular similitudes. The urge to procreate the species is the strongest urge of all, just in all people. Do you understand? Even Sheldon, yes, he wants to clone himself. Do you understand? Ego problems, yeah. And so that's when you get people that win Nobel Prizes and are the greatest scientists in Michio Kaku, he has ego problems. Okay. That's his group. That's his peer group. The people that clone and give you quantum computing and the virtual presence. Okay. He's not a well human being. He's an irrational human being. He can't get up and say, hey, people need privacy to have functional lives so they can think independently from aggressive, manipulative behaviors that maintain extortion and exploitation as a status quo, which goes against natural laws because we're not behaving naturally. We're not obeying and understanding. We're not teaching properly. We don't have people understanding why we do things because it needs to observe and obey natural laws to maintain our existence, why we park cars, bars, and wars, why we don't charge extortion, why we don't do marketing and exploitation through exploit people through their bad brain activity, right? Michio Kaku's not a very intelligent person. He likes to think he is because he's excessive and compulsive and he breaks down things to the most minute detail because he has nothing better to do because we're not sharing, caring, giving according to need and giving according to, and building to last. And he's not at a dance going, Maria, the most beautiful sound I've ever heard. Maria, 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 Maria. He's not doing that. And I'm not doing that because of assholes like him and his business partners. Okay? And he's an asshole. Oh, Suzuki doesn't like him. Suzuki doesn't have Earl just because. Earl, what did you say to that one guy? Oh, yeah, that's right. Old Ron or whatever his name was in Sierra Vista. He came up and said that about Michelle, who was a Korean young friend, okay, who had a daughter who was Korean and half black. I wonder how she's doing now. Anaya, Mr. Ralph, she's so cute. Oh, she's so cute. And the tyrant of the TV, and her mom and her dad died from cancer while we were all working there together. And the stepmother was just a wonderful person. She was really sweet and considerate and caring. And they were like family to me. And this guy comes in and says, we should have bombed them all back in, and the other people come in and call them gooks and all that. And because we looked alike, they thought they felt comfortable having these conversations with me. And I'm like sitting there going, I'd cuss you out if I didn't get fired. Okay. The fuck, right? Gosh, dang, So, there's a lot of people in the world, okay, that are quite insane and can't even explain it to themselves. And that's why I have this YouTube, and that's why YouTube, I say things that other people don't say and won't say. And YouTube allows me to publicly make them accessible. The military manipulates the access to the public. And that's what's happening. So we'll just keep working on it with artificial general intelligence and quantum computing. And just, keep hope alive, focus on us all living that Lord's Prayer worldwide today. Okay, peace out.